Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're powering up for a really in-depth look at one of the most iconic transformations in Dragon Ball. You know the one. Long hair, no eyebrows. Super Saiyan 3. We've dug through a really comprehensive breakdown from the Dragon Ball Wiki. It's packed with some fascinating stuff. We want to bring you everything you really need to know about this, well, legendary form.
Yeah, our mission today basically is to cut through all that info and, really get to the core nuggets about Super Saiyan 3. What is it? What does it actually do? And maybe what does it all mean in the bigger Dragon Ball story?
Exactly. You might think you know Super Saiyan, but look, this form, it really pushes things. It goes, well, you know the line, even further beyond. Okay, so let's unpack this thing. Super Saiyan 3. What is it at its core? It's basically the successor, right? The next step after Super Saiyan 2. And it's designed, it seems, to just squeeze out every last drop of potential from a Saiyan's blood, pushing those limits hard.
That's pretty much it. Goku was the first one we saw achieve it, and that was after years of really intense training in other worlds, the afterlife. What's interesting though is it wasn't just him. Gotenks, the fusion of Goten and Trunks, he managed it later on, and even Vegeta eventually got there through his own training, though he called it, comically, Ultra Vegeta 1, which is just classic Vegeta.
Oh, yeah. So it sounds like it's not just about training like crazy. There are often these unique circumstances involved. Why is that prerequisite so specific here?
Yeah, exactly. You have to have hit Super Saiyan 2 first, that's a given, and then train like mad. But yeah, it often seems to need these out-of-the-norm circumstances, as the source puts it. Like Goku, he got it while he was dead. That seemed to maybe lessen the strain somehow or make it possible. And Goten and Trunks, individually, they couldn't do it. But when they fused into Gotenks, this, single, much stronger being, then they could hit that level.
That's fascinating. And it makes you think about the whole Saiyan evolution thing. The source material points out a key difference between Super Saiyan 3 and, say, Super Saiyan 4 from GT. How exactly does SS3's approach differ?
Well, it's fundamentally different, really. Super Saiyan 3 is all about ramping up ki utilization. It's about how efficiently they can channel and amplify their life force, their energy, just maxing out that raw output. Whereas Super Saiyan 4, later in GT, that was more focused on 100% utilization of physical stamina, a totally different angle on power.
And the power boost from Super Saiyan 3. It's just wild, isn't it? The numbers are crazy. 4 times the strength of Super Saiyan 2. Which means, 8 times a regular Super Saiyan? That pushes speed, strength, endurance, just way beyond the normal limits. I mean, means they can, easily take down opponents that a Super Saiyan 2 just couldn't touch.
Oh, significant doesn't even cover it. Remember when Goku first transformed on Earth? The sheer force was, insane. The descriptions are vivid. A violent explosion of power, tremendous force, massive tidal waves, even hurricane forces. It said it nearly shook the whole planet apart. And that power signature, it could be sensed from Earth all the way to the Supreme Kai's planet. That's vast.
Wow, yeah. That planet-shaking entrance.
Yeah.
Must have been terrifying. But with all that raw power, there had to be a catch, right? Were there major drawbacks? Did it cost too much?
Absolutely. And this is where it gets really interesting. Despite this huge power increase, there are very serious setbacks. It all stems from how rapidly, how unsustainably it burns through ki energy. Remember when Goku was back on Earth temporarily, showing the form to Babidi and Majin Buu? It literally cut his remaining time on Earth in half, just demonstrating it. That's a huge cost. And then in the anime, when he powered up for Trunks and Goten, who were super excited, well, his energy just vanished. Poof! Forced him back to Otherworld early.
Wow. So the drain is absolutely a massive problem. Goku himself even said he had little experience using it in a living body. Just using it twice quickly brought him to his knees, completely wiped out. And even Gotenks, right, this super powerful fusion, couldn't hold it for long, less than 30 minutes apparently, before reverting. And the source even mentions for older Saiyans like Nappa and some spin-offs, trying to use this form could actually be lethal. The stress is just too extreme.
It is extreme. Interestingly, though, later on, like in Dragon Ball Super, Goku finds a kind of workaround. He sometimes uses it in these really quick, sporadic bursts, just for sudden power boost to overwhelm someone. That seems to lessen the exhaustion effect. It's more tactical, which is a big contrast to, say, Kid Goku in Dragon Ball GT. His small body just couldn't handle it. He could only hold the form for a couple of seconds. Barely usable.
Okay, so we've got the incredible power and these really significant energy costs.
Yeah.
What about the look? The appearance is so distinct. Super Saiyan 3 brings these really stark physical changes. The absolute trademark has to be the hair, right? It stops being all spiky like Super Saiyan 2 and just becomes this flowing, smooth mass of hair down to or even past their waist. Still golden blonde, but the source says it's a sort of darker and more yellow shade than the earlier forms.
Definitely. And the face, the eyebrows just vanish, completely gone, which makes the forehead and the eye ridges look bigger, more pronounced, gives them that really intense, almost primal look. Although it's worth mentioning there are exceptions. Some games show female Super Saiyan 3s keeping their eyebrows, and apparently Vegeta in the upcoming Dragon Ball Daima series, his hair stays spiked up, even in this form. So some variations exist.
Huh, interesting. Any other visual things? There's a small increase in muscle mass, right?
Yeah.
Noticeable, but not huge, like that third grade form, and in the anime their voice gets, like, deeper, gruffer. Plus the aura, it pulses super fast, looks almost static apparently. High-pitched sound in the original shows, though that's changed a bit in newer stuff.
Yeah, the aura is intense. Oh, and here's a fun little detail about the hair, going back to that. You know how bald Saiyans, like the player character in Xenoverse 2, actually grow head hair in SS3? Well, Nappa, famously, in Super Dragon Ball Heroes, he stays bald, only his beard grows out massively. Guess even Super Saiyan 3 has its limits.
That's brilliant. Okay, so let's talk about how it actually performed in, real fights. Early on, Goku used it to stall Majin Buu, right? And he even thought he maybe could have beaten Buu then if he'd really gone all out. And Gotenks used it against Super Buu, did some crazy stuff like ripping open dimensions to escape the time chamber. But again, the form just wore off too quickly, cut the fight short.
Exactly. And the form really hit its limit, its breaking point, you could say, in that final battle against Kid Buu. Goku was going full power Super Saiyan 3, but he was struggling a lot. His attacks weren't doing much against Buu's insane regeneration and power, and eventually the form just failed him. He collapsed from exhaustion. He even admitted, like you said, he had little experience using it properly in a full fight while alive. It just wasn't practical for a long haul. They needed the Super Spirit Bomb to finish Kid Buu in the end. SS3 wasn't enough.
Right. And then came the ultimate reality check. Goku using Super Saiyan 3 against Beerus, that was in Battle of Gods, and then retold in Dragon Ball Super. And he just got, completely dominated, didn't he? Beerus was just effortlessly blocking him, dodging everything, knocked him out cold with a simple chop to the neck. Ouch. What did that fight really signal for Super Saiyan 3's place in the hierarchy?
Oh, that was huge. It wasn't just a loss, it was a fundamental shift. It showed that raw ki output, even at SS3 levels, just wasn't going to cut it against, actual gods. It basically screamed that a new kind of power was needed, which led directly to Godly Ki. That's a whole different energy source that powers Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue. It made SS3 feel dated, almost overnight.
So connecting that to the bigger picture, Super Saiyan 3 got surpassed by these God Ki forms. Does that mean Goku just dropped it completely?
Not quite entirely. I mean, yes, it definitely led him to stop using it as his main power-up. Super Saiyan God and Blue are just way more efficient and powerful overall. But he does still pull it out occasionally, like we mentioned, for those quick, sporadic power boosts in Super, like when he sparred with Future Trunks. So it still has a niche use just for that sudden, overwhelming burst. And it's not just Goku and Gotenks either. You see it pop up in games and stuff. Broly, Vegeta. They get Super Saiyan 3 forms in some what-if scenarios. Plus, you get wild stuff in Heroes where characters like Raditz and Nappa somehow jump straight to Super Saiyan 3, skipping SS1 and 2 entirely. Don't ask me how that works.
That's pretty wild. Okay, shifting gears a bit into some deeper connections and trivia. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? The similarities between Super Saiyan 3 and that bulky Super Saiyan third grade form Vegeta used against Cell. Is that just a coincidence?
It feels like more than just coincidence, It really highlights this recurring theme in Dragon Ball, this idea of chasing raw power versus the often crippling drawbacks that come with it. Think about it. Both are the third stage up from the original Super Saiyan. Both were initially kept secret from Vegeta. Both were kind of revealed after Vegeta had already been defeated. And both had these massive, glaring weaknesses. SS3 had the terrible stamina drain. Third grade had that awful speed reduction. It feels like a deliberate parallel about finding balance, not just brute force.
That's a really good point. It's like a narrative lesson baked in. And speaking of power, the source mentions something pretty cool. Super Saiyan 3 users can actually distort and warp dimensions just with their rock. We saw Goku and Gotenks do that. That's some serious energy leakage.
It really is. It's one of those lesser-known abilities that just underlines how much sheer, raw energy the form is churning out. It's almost uncontrollable. Oh, and a final fun connection. Boros from One Punch Man, his meteoric burst form Visually, it shares some similarities, right? The long hair, the intense aura.
Yeah.
And interestingly, it also puts this huge strain on his body, just like Super Saiyan 3 does. A nice little nod, maybe.
There be that connection. Cool. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. After this deep dive, what have we really learned about Super Saiyan 3? It's this form of just immense, almost terrifying power. Iconic look, long hair, no eyebrows.
Yeah.
Designed to pull out every last bit of Saiyan potential. But that power came at a huge cost. That severe energy drain made it a real double-edged sword. Ultimately not sustainable for long fights.
Exactly. Its role really shifted over time, didn't it? It went from being the absolute peak of standard Saiyan power to becoming this powerful but ultimately flawed and strategically limited stepping stone towards the godly key transformations, which I think raises a really interesting question for you listening right now. When you consider that incredible power boost, but then you balance it against that critical stamina problem, and then you see even stronger forms come along later. What does Super Saiyan 3 really teach us about, the trade-offs involved when you push your limits?
Yeah, is it always just about getting the biggest, flashiest power-up? Or is there maybe some wisdom in understanding those hidden costs, understanding the true value of mastery and efficiency maybe, even if it means moving beyond something that looks incredibly powerful on the surface? Something for you to think about until our next deep dive.